And they're up to the line of scrimmage and first and goal. Hand off Jacobs, blasting off the left side, fighting his way to the end zone. Touchdown! 14th touchdown of the season for Josh Jacobs, a personal best. It is 13-0 Green Bay.
They were just getting going. Yes, the Green Bay Packers authored the very first shutout of the 2024 NFL season, thanks to Josh Jacobs, 34-0 over the Saints on Monday Night Football as we head into the holidays. That was Wayne Larrivee of WRNW. I'm Gregg Rosenthal in the garage, and I'm looking at my friend Nick Shook. Thank you for being with me on this thrilling game. Look, if it was going to be a blowout, at least they did it quickly. Nothing got too complicated. We got to see some excellence out of the Packers.
Yeah, we did. We got to see the Packers in the many ways they can beat you. We talk about the Bills in that fashion a lot. Oh, they can win in so many different ways offensively. The Packers kind of proved that tonight, starting with Josh Jacobs and his, the ground and pound approach, where he's one of the toughest guys to bring down on first contact. He basically doesn't go down on first contact. And they rolled. They absolutely rolled with the complete team performance. Offense was rolling. Defense was rolling. Packers fans are having a blast. They're tubing outside of Lambeau Field. It's the holiday season. What more could you want?
Well, I guess a close game, but if it was going to be a blowout, it was quick, it was decisive, and Joe Buck and Troy Aikman were having a good time. Like, Joe Buck just decided to entertain himself. They really are the best right now, and they're not griping that it's like a bad game or whatever. They're enjoying it. And look, I like seeing greatness. Some blowouts are more entertaining than others. This was 21-0 before the Saints had their fourth drive of the game, 3 straight touchdowns by the Packers, and then they just cruised from there. But the way they did it, to me, and the way they've done it the last 2 weeks, is pretty telling. So Josh Jacobs sits for most of the second half because they're ahead by so much, which is great because they have a big game coming up on Sunday against the Vikings. But the first drive of the game, Shook, he has 6 touches for 40 yards, touchdown. The next drive of the game, after a short Saints drive where they got a couple first downs but end up punting, he has 7 touches for 45 yards. That drive is a 17-play, 91-yard drive. Before those 2 drives were up, and at that point, yeah, Jacobs already has 85 yards on 13 touches. He barely touched it the rest of the night after that. Before those 2 drives were over, 7 different Packers had run the ball, and you just felt like Matt LaFleur was just showing all the cool things he can do with all the cool players that he has.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm speaking about there, is that I know that he's kind of a mad scientist offensively and that he can scheme up so many different ways, but so many different guys were able to get involved in this offense. It didn't have to be about Jordan Love. It could be about the entire offensive unit. It could be Dontavian Wicks catching a touchdown pass with one of the greatest flop jobs I've ever seen from a defensive back in the NFL in the modern era.
What was that? Yeah, that was Amadi of the Saints. That was terrible.
Yeah, he's just searching for a flag, desperate for a flag. You had Christian Watson taking end arounds, essentially, just like jet sweeps, that sort of thing, around the right side and picking up positive yards. You could go down this entire list. Chris Brooks gets a touchdown carry. Emmanuel Wilson gets 11 for 52 by the time the game's over. Tucker Kraft, we love Tucker Kraft. He's had a great year. You had Reed, Dobbs, Wicks. Everybody's involved. They can just hit it from so many different angles because their coach is so creative with his play calling. It got to the point where in the fourth quarter of this game, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself, Malik Willis completed 1 pass. It was a 34-yard dime to Jaden Reed down the sideline. And it just occurred to me, God, he's in the perfect place. He is in the perfect place to develop him as a quarterback. No pressure. A coach who knows exactly how to take advantage of his talents. And this entire offense is benefiting from the fact that Matt LaFleur is their coach.
So I was thinking today about the comeback player of the year, and now you're not allowed to just vote for guys for getting better. It made me think, like, we need to have a most improved player. Like, that's a more meaningful award to me. Most improved is all about development and what you want to do as a pro. And I was thinking Sam Darnold, that would be a nice spot for him to win that award that Geno Smith, did Geno win it last year? And I was thinking Malik Willis, if we had the ladder for most improved player of the year, I'd try to sneak Malik Willis in there at 5. There's no rule that says you have to play a lot because we saw what he was before. And we've seen what he is this year. And LaFleur gets a lot of credit, but Malik Willis gets even more credit because some of those passes he made in the runs, obviously, he made in that early stretch. That's helped set them up for this run that they've had now where they're running the ball so well.
Yeah, it just made me consider their season in total, which is like week 1, Jordan Love gets hurt, and it's doomsday for the Packers. We're on this podcast talking about, oh, man, they lost week 1. What are they going to do? Now they don't have their quarterback. They win the next 2 games with Malik Willis because LaFleur knows how to put him in the right spots and take advantage of his talents. And I totally agree, by the way. We should. It's our show. We can do whatever we want. Let's have a most improved player ladder. Why not?
Okay, maybe we will. And I know not that many important people are listening, but we do have an AP writer, Josh Dubois, who listens to this show. So like
Hello,
maybe we can get him to make the most improved player a thing. I mean, NFL honors, they could use more words. We did assistant coach of the year. No hate like that. But if we're doing assistant coach of the year, I think we can have room for most improved. Yeah, LaFleur, there was one funny play early where he actually had Kool-Aid McKinstry so confused on like a play fake that he was like spinning like a top looking for the right receiver. I think that was on the 4th down where Love took the check down instead of going deep that Troy Aikman wanted to. And Love didn't have to do that much. I was glad he had that long throw to Jaden Reed in the second half because it felt like in the second half, LaFleur came out of halftime and was like, all year we've been wanting a complete game. I don't think we've had a complete game, special teams, offense, and defense. And certainly at halftime, you're like, this is the complete game. It's 24-0. In the second half, they're not really moving the ball much for a while. And you're thinking, oh, LaFleur's not going to feel like he gets it. But they tack on 10 points at the end with a nice deep pass from Love and Willis. And he definitely got his complete game. You can't get any more complete than gaining 400 plus yards, holding them under 200. The shutout, the passing was more than efficient enough. The offensive line has been awesome all year and is really underrated. And they should feel really good going into this Vikings game.
And Brandon McManus hits 2 field goals of 45 plus yards. Look, this is a Packers team that has dealt with inconsistency at kicker since the departure and really the end of Mason Crosby. They had Anders Carlson last year, and he was not good. And now they have consistency in the form of Brandon McManus. So this may be, overreaction to one blowout win, but the way the Packers have played over the last 5 weeks, save for that narrow loss to the Lions, their defense has been phenomenal. I mean, absolutely fantastic. They had a pressure rate over 50% tonight, which was crazy. Totally shut down the Saints offense, especially in that first half. They finished under 100 yards in the first half. And their defense has been playing phenomenally. We know what their offense can do. Now they have a reliable kicker as well. Call me crazy, Greg, but I don't think it's too far-fetched to throw them among the elite contenders in the NFC right now.
No, the problem is that it's not a normal year. 11-4 should win you a division and get you a home game at the very least. Some years it might have you in the mix for the 1 or the 2 seed. Instead, they have almost no chance to even be second place in their division. I shouldn't say that. It's not that far-fetched. All they got to do is win their last 2 games. They got to beat the Vikings, and then they need the Vikings to lose against the Lions. That's not that crazy of a scenario. And then actually they would get up to 5. They would pass the Vikings. ESPN put out that scenario. Now they could fall down to 7 as well if they lost down the stretch and Washington passed them. And I actually think it could be a meaningful difference between 5, 6, and 7. You get the 5 seed and you're playing the winner of the NFC South. That's great. If you're the 6 seed, right now you'd be playing the Rams. That is probably who it will wind up being. Okay, that's manageable. If you're the 7 seed, you probably have the Eagles. So those are 3 different tiers. I think it does matter. I think the Packers will be tempted to rest everyone in Week 18 against the Bears and maybe care less about seeding. But that's a conversation for a week from now. I'm glad you mentioned the pressure numbers. Yeah, Van Ness had a good game, I thought. Rashawn Gary had a good game. He's been playing better. And yeah, the running game is what really stuck with me. Guess their success rate tonight. I don't know if you're like a success rate.
It was over 50%. The last time I checked, it was just in the fourth quarter.
It was 64%, which is
wow,
just,
it got even higher. And I think the Saints was at like 35.
Anything over 50 is incredible on the ground for them to do that. Granted, everyone listening to this is like, are you going to mention that they're playing the Saints? It's like, yeah, okay, other teams haven't done this to the Saints. It's what you do against teams that are dead, and the Saints they're pretty dead. They couldn't tackle anyone. I don't think we need to dive too deep into their roster. That there's going to be a lot of changes. But give me just your thoughts on Spencer Rattler back in the starting lineup after a couple game stretch earlier in the season.
I think it was pretty evident in the first half and by the third quarter that he's playing with a deck that's just not full. Alvin Kamara's not out there. The receiving core is made up of a number of guys who you may have never even heard of at this point. Juwan Johnson might be their best receiving threat at tight end right now. And they don't have a lot of guys. They don't have a lot of weapons, and it's a rookie quarterback against a defense that's playing with its hair on fire. So it's going to be a challenge, especially when you face a pressure rate like he did throughout this game. I didn't think he actively hurt them. He had 2 turnovers. He fumbled the ball away when he got hit. And he also threw an interception by not putting enough on the football. I mean, there was a window there, and he just didn't throw it hard enough. Not enough velocity. But on the play prior to that, he made a fantastic jump pass to convert a third down. And I was like, there's the talent.
But that play was crazy. That was the 2-play sequence that defined Spencer Rattler as a rookie. He didn't need to jump. He just jumped for fun, for style. I've never seen anyone put that much velocity on a jump pass that went 15, 20 yards down the field. There's some starting quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm not going to name names because their fans are going to get mad, but they couldn't throw it that fast with their 2 feet on the ground. Spencer Rattler's got a hose, so it'd be fun to see him at some point in a different system. But yeah, he lost his center today, Eric McCoy. MVS got sick on Monday. He's been their number 1 receiver, so he didn't even play. I mean, it was a disaster for them even before this game started.
Kevin Austin and Dante Pettis are the leading receivers that aren't playing tight end. Foster Moreau and Juwan Johnson. 3 guys finished with 2 catches each. This is a low ceiling offense with just no firepower. So I can't hold it against him. I see what fuels the agenda with Spencer Rattler. It's the throw like the one we just talked about, but it's not, he's not, and he's better than Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I'll say that, but he's still a rookie quarterback.
I was talking to my friend Adam West, who does the Saints Block Party podcast, who was talking about, well, you got to see what you have in Rattler, down the stretch. And I was like, yes, but there's literally nothing Rattler could do in this stretch that would impact what your decision-making is. And that includes if he played incredible and the next 3 weeks he looked like one of the best rookie quarterbacks in the league out of somewhere. You still are taking a quarterback if you want to take a quarterback, and you're still doing it for free agency. And Rattler's there. He can be part of some competition. Let's move off from that, because the only important takeaway, I think, from this game, from the Saints' perspective, is just, I believe big nights like this, prime time, could impact Mickey Loomis's chances to keep that job. It's all I've thought was important over the rest of this Saints season. I know locally they've talked that Darren Rizzi could keep that job. There's no way he's going to keep that job. But I do think, meaning losing 34-0 in prime time, I think it's going to help Gail Benson, the owner, look at what has happened with this organization and make a decision that, for whatever reason, locally, they don't think she's going to make, and get rid of Mickey Loomis, who's been running this organization like a mob boss for 25 years. So everyone's afraid to say anything about it. It's like Tammany Hall, if you're a historian. And I think when she fired Dennis Allen over his wishes, that showed me, okay, she's a little more plugged in, and how this season ended would maybe affect him or not. And we're seeing how it's ending, whether it's fair or not. I think he's going to be out. So that's my prediction.
I'm glad you described him as a mob boss, because I wrote in the What We Learned that he's Teflon strong, because he just, for some reason, he avoids all the bullets. He just keeps his job. This may be the low point that makes them considered. I totally agree with you. It's just that we are heading into an offseason in which, who are the candidates to replace? A lot of GMs are names that you don't typically know of at the time until the interviews start.
There's plenty. He's from a whole different generation. The reason he's Teflon is because he runs the organization in a way, he is almost an acting owner. From all reports, she's very hands off. They have the Pelicans too, and he's involved in the business. He's involved in everything, and I think it's just going to be a lot of work to replace him, but I think they need to do that work.
Yeah, there's a bit of a right-hand man thing going on there, and you go away from that security. But how low do you sink before you decide to make a change? I think we're pretty close now.
I think we're there. I think we got there tonight, and yet we came through with energy, with professionalism, like Rashawn Gary, if you happen to see that clip of him stepping into that interview with Jordan Love and scaring the hell out of Lisa Salters, just check that out. We couldn't get the rights to it, but if we could, I would play it right
We
here.
We came through with energy and professionalism, and in the spirit of Christmas, we came through with a jug of eggnog right here.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
This is for the YouTube audience. We're gonna fit this in.
You're an eggnog drink at home guy.
To the face, no alcohol, just eggnog.
Okay, I loved it as a kid, and it's been a long time. It's been a long time since I've had it, so maybe in honor of you, I will have.
That is creamy.
It's like a little too sweet, you know. It's like
little sweet.
I don't need all that sweet at my age. All right, that is it for the YouTube audience. Nick pointed out to me smartly, we end these YouTube videos so abruptly because we just throw it a break for the audio show. It's not giving our love to the YouTube audience. So we love how it's been going up lately. Like, subscribe. We've been seeing the subscriber numbers go up. We appreciate you all. And check out the audio podcast if you want to hear a little bit of our news, our captains of the week. And we're also going to do our picks for Coach of the Year. We'll see you next time.